everyone, it is the end of June, like the last day of June, and I'm getting our June farm tour out to you guys today. We just finished working in the rain, hence the wet curly hair that I have going on. We have been so blessed to get some rainfall. Gosh, it's been so dry. The drought is just crazy in the Southwest. I know a lot of other people are struggling with heat waves right now, which we had about a week and a half ago, but we have just been soaking in this rain. Like literally, it has been a slow drizzle. It is fabulous for plants in our pasture land because that slow rain actually soaks in instead of running off, which tends to happen in our monsoon rains. And we're just gonna take all of it. Every drop that comes in, we're so grateful and blessed. We are still not done planting. I am like really far behind this year, but that's okay because we added some more growing areas, and it took us a while to get the drip done on those, and the dirt in those is really just horrible. So it's gonna take us a while. We had to till a couple areas. I know that we are no dig, but for us, it just takes a lot of moisture to do the no dig methods of putting down the cardboard and the compost on top of that. Like keeping it wet and trying to grow seedlings actually uses a lot more resources of, I'm gonna step into here so I'm not spending at you guys so much. It takes a lot of water resources, and for us, it's just super precious. So we forfeit some microbes and some other things in the soil by tilling it up, and just know that it might take us a little bit longer to get the soil where we want it to, but it's worth it in the end. It is. So we tilled up an area for a pumpkin patch. We tilled up another area to put perennial beds in for some pathways around the flagstone, which I showed you guys last month. So feel free to check out the May one if you want to see kind of how we put those pathways in. And then some of the areas still aren't mulched, so you'll be able to see how our drip went in, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But otherwise, I'm going to show you guys the annuals that we have in, the new perennial beds, the flowers for the flower cut gardens, which this year, guys, I think our flower bouquet season is going to be so short. I'm super jelly of seeing all of my flower farmer friends with all their bouquets out there, and they've been having them since, you know, April with the ranunculus and the anemone, and now they're moving into the snapdragons and the zinnias, and some of them have dahlias already, and our snaps aren't even blooming. We really had a cool spring as well, so not only were we behind on getting these little babies into the ground, it was also really cool. So, you know, it's just kind of the trade-offs of being in the mountains, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We just have a shorter growing season. But we're also preparing our place to be able to host events here. And I'm super excited to tell you that we are hosting a composting workshop here on July 12th. That might be the only one we do this summer. And so there's a lot of really cool stuff going on the farm. Even though it's still kind of COVID petering out, New Mexico still has some restrictions as far as gathering and everything like that. So we're just kind of taking it slow, getting back into everything and taking it as another year to kind of build our infrastructure, and understanding that this is all a process. As much as I would like to go gangbusters and be cranking out flower bouquets and everything else at the market. And then my health has also been, you know, a little bit hard as well. I think I talked about this last month. I caught a virus right before our plant sale, and my family members and volunteers just really stepped up and ran that for me. I was outside a little bit. I wasn't feverish at that time, but the doctor was like, you know, if you have a fever, you got to stay, like, we really should, you know, 20 feet from everybody, wear a mask. So I still kind of stayed away, and I got tired pretty quickly, so I had to come in. And then just dealing with the fallout with the fibro from having that virus. And then my endometriosis has also been kind of kicking in. I do go see a specialist in August. We had really planned on me, you know, trying to keep all of my reproductive parts until I was 40. I turned 40 in March. So it might be time to do a couple of scans and just kind of see what's going on. I would like to still continue to keep my parts. As you guys know, I do an integrative approach to medicine, which is why we grow a lot of my storage space filled up there. So I'm actually going to wrap up that little segment. So I do an integrative approach to healing my body. We use Western medicine because I believe that God gave us scientists to be able to figure all that out. And then we also use Mother Nature because I think that's another gift that has been given to us. So healthy foods, herbs, we're doing a lot more cool things coming out with body products. I actually harvested some lemon balm and orange balm today to dry out some leaves, to make some tinctures, to try out some different cleansing stuff like scrubs and sugars. And I'm excited to be able to share that with you all in the future as well, whether that's this year, if I'm able to get it together, or next year, which will probably be branded and everything next year, and this year just kind of trying things out. The more I learn, the more I do stuff, and the more time I have available. That has really just become a fun passion of mine as well when it comes to health and integrated approaches. So stay tuned for that. And with that, say some prayers for me for the scans that'll be coming in August. And let's go take a look at all the stuff got growing around. And I'm sure you guys can kind of hear the water in the background, and I'm here sitting on our pergola. So I'm just gonna flip the camera around and show you what the view looks like from sitting here on our new couches that are in our pergola. This is the little fountain that I was telling you about here. I got that at Hobby Lobby. I think on sale it was $75. I think it was $150. They like flew off the shelves. And I love it. It just adds a little bit of a noise to here in the pergola. And as you can tell, there's still a ton of stuff to plant in here. I have some shade stuff in here, like a bunch of coleus, as well as some sun things that are like reaching for the sun, like these geraniums, a bunch of dahlias, and some caladium, which the caladium is planted. Actually, these are planters, and some old refrigerator doors from the 1960s. They're super cute. There's a bird bath over there. And this spot is just super cozy. We had the fireplace going, which there's bird poop on there, and I guess they're coming and maybe roosting on my pitchfork that has herbs hanging from last year. So you guys, I still have so much work to do as far as like finishing drip. There's drip tube out. There's kind of random stuff everywhere. There's tomato cages here on the ground, which you can hardly see. Our fountain still isn't in. You can see the cement blocks here, but there's a lot of pretty stuff too as we go around the garden, and we don't need it to be perfect. It's really just us. Like I said, we have that one group of people that are coming out for composting, but I'm pretty sure they'll understand because they're not going to be looking for big photo opportunities as if it was a birthday party or wedding or some other type of event. So we're not very worried about it. We're going to pick up some stuff, but really we're just going to kind of take it as it is. As we keep trying to get stuff in, there's snapdragons in here. One of my volunteers put this cute little pathway in. This is a garage door bed, so it's 9 foot by 9 foot, and it's just too wide to try to plant all the way through it. So after 3 years of trying to grow in it, decided to put a pathway, and it's helped a bunch. There's some ornamental kale in there. There's onions that I'm letting go to seed so that I can collect the seeds. These are red onions, and then there's a white onion in there as well. Look at that guy. I don't even know what that is. Hi, are you pollinating? Thank you. There's Miss Oreo. Now she's going to talk since I baby talked an insect. She's like, oh, were you talking to me? Thank you for staying out of my basil and walking on the wood. Yeah, thank you, kitty. So this whole bed is basil. There's cinnamon, Thai, lemon, sweet, Juliana, and I don't even know how many plants I have in here. Quite a few. I'm excited. I picked some off yesterday to cause it to do more branching, just did some pinching, and then I took it and put it in lemonade. Oh my gosh. If you guys have not had lemonade with basil in it, it's so good. So good. Nice and refreshing. There's our scarlet runner beans are coming up, and I had some struggles with them too. They should be filling this whole line right here and right there. And the ones that are coming up, like you can see those scarlet runner beans right here, those are from seeds that came up from last year. So I'm not sure what's going on. They're fine in this bed, they're coming up. And the new bed that we moved over here, they're up. But I've planted again in this bed, so I'm hoping that it comes up. I've just been struggling a little bit in these raised beds for some reason. We replaced a lot of the drip tube that had holes in it. So that's what's going on here. We're almost done with our drip. Now it's just kind of fine tuning everything. This is a row of straw flowers here. There's more straw flowers in the next one. Actually, this is pincushion, sorry, then straw flower. And the straw flower has a bunch of, let's see, what is it? Amaranth that's growing in there. And so the purple amaranth is going to come out. I'm going to move it to another row in the morning, transplant it, and see how it goes, because it is just taking over this area. Amaranth is a native here anyway, and you can tell there's actually a native amaranth growing in here with it, so it just really likes our place here. I'm super excited about these straw flowers that are about to bloom, and there's like a little hornet wasp on there, which, you guys, don't kill those guys. They come and they eat pests. So the fact that he's cruising around on my flowers looking like he's gonna eat some bad bugs makes my heart happy. And he didn't care I'm here. He looks similar to the other one that was over there, but he looks like he's searching around for some bugs. So be super careful whenever you decide to get things. I mean, if they're in your way where you think your kid's gonna get stung or something like that, you know, or it's a wasp nest by where your house entrance is, I get it. But otherwise, we live and let live, because we need all the beneficial bugs in here. This is our meadow. We've crammed into this bed, and it is definitely wild looking, that's for sure. There's some Sweet William that is kind of done flowering here. Looks definitely spent. There's some mountain phlox that's still blooming in here. The echinacea is just starting to flower. The Mexican top hats, I don't think that's what they're called, kind of close to that, are starting to bloom. There are some daisies that are on their second bloom. I went ahead and let some clover and alfalfa bloom. The clover especially is kind of taken over in here, but that's fine because it adds nitrogen back into the soil. And I wasn't able to get any nutrients down into the ground before all this stuff started coming up this year. So we're just letting it go. There's a bunch of white yarrow blooming in here. And in the back, there's some hollyhocks that just started to bloom. There's a dark pink there. And then the feathergrass is really happy. I think I'm going to move the feathergrass. And we're really trying to just have this not be taken over by the feathergrass. And I have some other places that I think the feathergrass will do well and it will look really pretty. Everything just kind of looks like fallen over in a hot mess right now because of the rains. And then there's some bare spots because I have taken out some other perennials to move them because they just didn't fit in here. I had planted them in here thinking that it would never fill up the space with what I planted, and lo and behold, it's packed. There's some stock here in this row, and then it goes down to some snapdragons that came in a little bit spotty, so we'll be planting some stuff in there. There's bachelor buttons, and then I did have, I'm so sad, I did have some hail damage on some little plants in here, so there's only a couple left, and I'm thinking that this is also pincushion. We had a couple different plantings of it, and there's just a few left in here. I'm gonna let them go. I'll probably plant some zinnias or cosmos in here so they can kind of coexist together. And then this full row right here is potatoes. There are two different types of potatoes in here. There's red mountain rose and Yukon. I have peeled some of the top layers away and gotten some of the potatoes that are growing on the top just underneath the straw into the house. And we're going to make breakfast with those tomorrow. And this is forage, which is a green that can be eaten all the time. And I did not know that they say once you plant it in an area, it comes back again and again and again. It's a perennial. I thought that I took all of that out, but I did not. It's back in here. So it's really, really a pretty perennial though. And to be able to have greens that don't wane in the harsh heat is also good. I transplanted some marigolds in here earlier this morning. They are struggling just a little bit, transplant shock. So there's a whole row of them all the way down. And as some of you guys know, maybe not all of you, our sewer tanks are under here. But there's no evaporation from that. These are just the holding tanks, and they go straight out that way. And then where those pipes are, you can only see one. The other one is covered in kochia weeds. That is where the leach field is, and we've done a pretty good job. I need to go back and put this billboard plastic over here over it again for another 3 weeks so that I can get those seeds down. We are doing the no dig there. We're not tilling it up. We're just kind of working with it, putting some nutrients down. I've got it, and we're trying not to disturb the seed base because literally there are thousands of kochia seeds in there, which is the New Mexico tumbleweed. And this place was abandoned for a couple years, and so that plant was just allowed to go like crazy, and it was perfectly fine living off of whatever was still evaporating out of the leach fields. So it's a practice of patience for sure, working with that one. And if you guys have noticed, I'm really saying a lot, and I might be struggling with my words. That is part of my body dealing with the fibro. Fibro can cause brain fog, which for me personally means that I struggle finding words, among other things. The other part that it messes with is I'll say the wrong things. I called the dog a cat, and then I called the bunny rabbit a dog today. So bear with me. If any of you guys deal with the same type of thing with your fibro, or maybe you just have an off day, do the same thing, let me know in the comments below so I'm not alone. These are a row of zinnias here. It's not a row, it's a partial bed. And then next we move into a couple different types of Queen Anne's lace, back to zinnias, the rest of the straw flowers that we had extra, and then we did plant dill. Again, that was something that was taken out by the hail. So I came back and transplanted some dill into it this morning. We still have this entire row. I think this row is probably 40 feet of planting to do. There's some stock, which just looks gorgeous. I'm excited to see some bloom stalks coming up. It probably appreciated this cool weather, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing some blooms coming up. All right, let's head to a different part of the garden now. Here's another bed. This one we discovered last year by accident. It was actually an extension of this wood pile here. And once we got down to the bottom of the wood pile, we noticed there was a bed here. So we have planted in foxglove, snapdragon, salvia, and there's some sweet pea in the back that I did not get in the ground in the early spring. And so it was living in its pots, and it was not happy at all. And it was yellowed, but it has sent up some shoots. And I think actually we're gonna get some snapdragons, or sorry, some blooms out of it. So I'm excited to have that come up. I'll probably put some strings and hang it to the fence. There's a pea shrub right here, which I can't remember what it's called, but it also puts nitrogen back into the soil. This guy has survived the entire time that the house was abandoned as well with no water. The roof is pitched on this pergola so that it falls this way, so I think it just lucked out. We cut it back really hard whenever we moved in because some branches were breaking. They had them kind of staked up because it can get 20 foot tall, but they were breaking. So we broke them off. I let some suckers come in, and then we're just training them to go up, and it's creating more shade in the back part of the pergola. This is also a bed that Starston and I created. There's snapdragons, alliums, the leeks are about to bloom. And then I have some sweet sultan in the back, which is a cut flower. And I'm super disappointed because it literally has been in there for weeks and has not grown at all. It is just hanging out. So I'm not sure why. Part of me thinks that it may not be getting enough sun, because if you look at these snaps, they're not going straight up, which, by the way, there's your dirty farm hands. They're growing like this, which leads me to believe that this area just may not be getting as much sun anymore, and it might be due to this shrub and this big giant juniper kind of shading the southern exposure here. So might have to be trading this area out for some plants that don't really need as much sun. The mint, which we have on the inner side, which is underneath the pergola, is doing awesome. So it's regular spearmint here, and then it moves into orange mint, which you can tell has some, it looks like almost chlorosis of the leaves, but that's just how that variety grows. And then the variety that's flowering in here is our strawberry mint, which smells fantastic, but it's not pretty, and then it doesn't taste good. Which I'm finding with a lot of the mint family, it smells really good, but that doesn't translate into taste. So kind of working with it with our body products to see if we can get some of that scent to come out, but so far the good old spearmint is just what's working well for us. I did get some variegated mint this year. I cut it back really hard because it was pretty gangly, and it's starting to come back. This is an oregano in here that looks like hops. Look at how cute. And each one of these plants can actually get 3 by 3. So as it gets bigger, I'm probably going to have to be transplanting these because I didn't realize it got that big. I've grown it here before. I didn't realize it was a perennial and I threw it away. So this year when I found it and saw that it was a perennial, I'm definitely going to be babying it so I can see if I can get it to go over the winter. Our grass is doing great. We were watering it every 3 days, so like 2 times a week, which is awesome for grass. I really want you guys to not feel guilty about grass. You know, there's all those movements that say to have food, not lawns. And that bothers me because lawns are a wonderful place for community and gathering and for children to be barefoot and to learn about plants. You can really manage it well if you take time to find the right varieties to grow in your area, even if that means like finding a wild buffalo grass that's more made for the prairies that doesn't need hardly any rain at all. There's a lot of different options, so don't be dissuaded, and please feel free to send me a message if you'd like to grow grass on your place. Our black lace elderberry is here, which we're going to make it look like a Japanese maple because they don't grow well in our area because our winters are too cold. And then there's 3 hostas that we planted in here. And this one, look at how beautiful those blooms are. It is really happy. And then I put in some coleus just to add some different colors in there and textures of foliage. There's some more mint here. This is the backside of the bird bath, which is actually on drip. So that fills up. I don't have to worry about filling it up. Our vinca is like gangbusters going over here. And our really, really old tea rose, which I showed, I think last month, hopefully I did, how gorgeous it is. The little yellow tea flowers that are all over it. This also came with the property, which means it can survive drought. So I'm going to be transplanting a lot of this out into another section of our property that is not on drip. And then you guys, I think this is raspberry. I don't know what's going on here. He's super happy in here. So I'm just going to kind of let it go and see if it produces anything. I'll probably also move that. I've already moved some of it. There's different types of heuchera in here. Our iris is done. That is oregano, which looks fantastic in our cut flower bouquets. And then look at these daisies. Those Shasta daisies. Aren't they beautiful? With their ruffled leaves. Just gorgeous. We have some evergreens, which I believe were already planted in the last one, maybe not. And then this whole area behind it is brand new. And there's roses and iris. Just some wonderful perennials in there that are low maintenance and low water. We're going to have to put, for the roses that are in there, we will have to put the hose on more often. But that, you know, is pretty easy to do. Some more iris over here, a locust tree. Since the drip has been on, the hollyhocks that are here are coming up along the drip, which is awesome because I want this whole area to be in hollyhocks. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of transplanting, but not near as much as I thought. There's also a hops right here that can go down to zone 5. That's from Proven Winners. This area here, we just finished mulching this morning. We planted dahlias here this week. There's more straw flower pincushion. That's all pincushions. Status in the next row. Carnations. Some more snapdragons. And then some gomphrena. And I'm going to come follow our flagstone path. Here's some drip that's still exposed because we're still working on that. We have gomphrena on either side of the pathway here. We're going to be taking this section of the fence out, and we have the gate so that we can access this area. The soil here is pretty poor. It's really a lot of clay, and the gomphrena has really just kind of hung out and not gotten any bigger, and I don't think it likes the soil that's here. So it might be just one of those years where we kind of watch and see how things grow. These are some fairy bouquet snapdragons, which have just grown so slowly. and the carnations were doing really well, and then they just kind of stopped too. And I don't know if that's because of the heat wave. We have a David Austin climbing rose called Bathsheba right here. This trellis is actually original to the property as well, so we're going to reuse that and just grow that up here. And then I got some hibiscus, some hardy hibiscus. And I don't know if I'm going to put it in front of this window or along the other side. I'm thinking it's going to go right here. And then we do have some shutters to put on this window and frame that window out. Our wheelbarrow is so cute. It's looking really good. I like the chartreuse color of the margarita vine. And then there's snapdragons in there. And then we have some proven winners, petunias in there as well. And these two trays are filled with calendula, and calendula is kind of already growing. You can see those little green sprouts. That's all calendula that reseeded from last year. So I think this area, I would just like it to be kind of that 12-inch high, 18-inch high calendula that reseeds itself every year. So since it came up here, the stuff that I seeded, I'm going to go ahead and just plant in this area as well. Here we have our lamb's ear, which is just laid over from the amount of rain that we've been getting. And the bees from our hive right on the other side of this greenhouse here are just all over it. Let me see if I can show you this little gal. I don't know if you can see her. She's right here. Let me show you. She's not gonna stay on there. There's another spot that has a lot of this, so hopefully I can show you. Some people don't like the blooms on it, but we leave them because the bees are just like crazy on them. And it's starting to rain again. Let's see if I can get done showing you. There's the backside of Peter, showing off his flowers to his girlfriends. Let's see if he'll turn around. Peter. No, he's shaking his stuff that way. Our greenhouse still has quite a bit of flowers in here. There's more shade stuff. I'm taking a lot of that coleus that's on the bottom back to my mom. Some of the stuff I'll be giving away. Some peppers and tomatoes are going to be going in the back part of our garden tomorrow and the next day. So actually by Friday, a lot of this stuff will be planted out. We have the shade cloth up, the fans on, the mylar. It really helps reflect the light back onto the plants because it's the siding. This is the color of our house is so dark, it just absorbs the light. So here's a view from this way. Show you what's going on. I'm loving this flagstone path. It's just beautiful. All right, hopefully we can keep going in the rain. This is also a brand new bed here. We don't have any flagstone yet, so that'll be part 2. But you can see our drip lines in. So this section has some bee balm, which we came home the other day and we call it the zoo. Because there's like 7 species of animal that are living here, kind of free ranging in this pen, and they were all out. So guineas, turkeys, rabbits, goats, and dogs were all out in here. And they got my bee balm and some of my daisies, which I'm super sad about. Hopefully they come back and you can just kind of tell some plants that they've trampled over here. I am planting along the back side of this chicken shed with some shade loving stuff. And then our Mother's Day garden is rocking and rolling as well. The wind and the rain a little bit earlier is moving my feed stacks out. Guys, we really have stuff everywhere, it feels like. So here's some more of the lamb's ear. There's cat mint over here. And our kind of wild foxglove is blooming. Some dianthus is blooming. I just cut back the salvia because it's done. Our Egyptian walking onion is about to throw down some seeds, so I need to get those off. Our euphorbia stopped blooming. There's some Johnny jump ups. This, I don't know. I thought it was tansy, but tansy, I guess, is just purple. It looks like a chrysanthemum stem. It is not feverfew, which I also thought it might be. So if any of you all know what this is, and really take a look at those leaves. It's an olive colored. It's not green like feverfew. So I'm not sure what it is. There were 3 plants and it's just crowding out. We had to move so many things because of how much some of the plants just took off in here. They're happy for sure. So this is new. These are cold frames that the meat man put in for me. So we'll come and take a look at what's growing in here next. I'm gonna step over these rows. We're not done planting over here yet. So We have Lysianthus in here on this side from here back, and from here back is all Lysianthus, and then tomatoes. And I'm really excited to see how the tomatoes do being grown underneath shade cloth, because our New Mexico high arid desert growing is just rough on tomatoes. They have a hard time. So that's what we're doing inside of these cold frames. So there's also tomatoes in here. And then we have tomatillos. This is a beautiful tomatillo plant here. So we have both we have purple and green. Sorry, I was looking at a bug and I was trying to decide whether this is going to be a good one or a bad one. Quote unquote, good or bad. I don't really kill things, even like this big huge grasshopper that's in here, because hopefully he's food for a big giant beneficial bug that's in here. I don't see anything being eaten, so I know that the numbers are not a problem. So I'm just gonna cruise past him. I may send a kid out here later to hunt for grasshoppers to give to the chickens as a treat, but other than that, we're just letting him go. I still have to come in here, and I think instead of trellising the tomatoes, which is what most people do, inside of cold frames or high tunnels, actually. I think that's what they should be called this time of year, these season extenders. They trellis them instead of, like, tomato cages are just not cost effective or space effective, but it's what we have this year. And our cold frame, the metal structure is just not strong enough to hold up any type of trellising system. So we're just going to use the tomato cages and see how that goes. Our drip was leaking at the end of our rows over here, and you guys can tell we need to come do some weeding. But this is what wild verbena looks like. And I'm actually really excited that it was leaking over here, because I'm going to come harvest this verbena and use it in our body products. We do have 2 more cold frames over here. This one is totally empty, and this one, a big windstorm just wrecked it, so we're not even sure if we can use it. We have some decisions to make in the next couple days, whether we're going to keep that there and do the compost behind it, or move the cold frames here and do the compost behind this area. This fencing is moving, that's right here, so that I can access the end of the rows once we've got these planted, which we're planting tomorrow and the next day. So we're going to push it out, and I'd like to have a seating area right here in the future. So by July, in that farm tour, you should see that. And I want to show you guys. It just started raining, so I'm going to go in here. These are mulch bags, but look at where the goats go when it rains. In the chicken coop. That is our mobile pasture chicken coop, and they go in it. And we built them, if I swing this way, we built them that entire structure right there to get in and be out of the rain. And they don't. They're in there, under it and inside of it, whenever it rains. This is our crazy muddy pen area where we house a lot of, actually all of our bunnies are here now. And then this is our grow out pen, so our turkeys are in here. A lot of teenage birds that are of different ages. We are going to be doing some culling next week of roosters, to help bring our feed bill down, because the price of feed right now is just so high. And I do want to show you guys some new little babies that we have. This is Missy. She's one of my favorite mini laps. Hi, Mama. We're just eating a little bit. Okay, we won't bother you too bad then. This soft little pet. She loves pets. And she has 2 little babies. I actually had to steal nest fur from her daughter, because she did not really pull a good nest, and she's down to just 2 little chunkamunks. Both of her babies are going to be chestnut agouti colored, and they are just, oh my gosh, because there's only 2, they're super big chunkamunks. Thank you, Missy, for those. Mini laps tend to have smaller litters anyway, and I'm not sure what happened to this round, why she lost so many. But this is her daughter, Ellie. Hi, sweet girl. Hi. And these are her babies. And you can look at all this fur that she pulled for them. And they are just as happy as they can be. This looks like a little tri-colored baby here too, or maybe a chestnut. I got a broken baby, which just means that they're spotted. So there's 3 of those, but I can see brown and black on him. But isn't that precious? So cute. And then looks like there's some gold black steel, which is just like their mom. I can't tell you how chunky this baby is. They are at the popcorn stage. They're not doing that trying to get away from me. They can't see yet, and so they push up like that to try to find on their mama's belly. Woo! So they can find her little teats so that they can eat. And they only eat twice a day, and we're getting about the time to eating, and so they're just being little popcorns, thinking that maybe mom is over here to feed them. So I do like at this age to come and to scratch their ears. Their eyes are about to be open and they can hear me. So it's good for them to get used to voices and being picked up and loved on. I don't take them out of the nest at this stage though, except to check them and make sure that everything looks kosher. I did notice that on Missy's yesterday, a couple of them had diarrhea, and we have been switching mom's feed. And so I think some of the babies suffered that way. So it's just good just to kind of pick them up, give them the ones under, look at their little bellies, make sure that everything looks good. And this one looks like he has a little buildup of poop, but he'll take care of that, and mom will check it again in the morning and make sure he's okay. So that's it for new little babies. To round out our animal tour, I wanted to show y'all our quail pen here. We are actually going to be selling all of our quail. Just kind of going back to basics on our fowl and what we like to raise and what does well for us financially and what I have time to take care of in the day. And the quail are super fun. I love the colored eggs that we got. I actually got these genetics from out of state, so I know that they'll be really fun for somebody. And there's some really beautiful colors in here. They're kind of losing their juvenile feathers, so they look a little bit wonky. And then some of my older ones are molting, but most of these guys lay blue eggs, and then a couple of them are the jumbo cotornics, which lay the larger eggs. That one walking up to us right now is molting. But the price of feed, as I mentioned when we were talking about the other animals, has gone up almost 50%. And that's because the price of freight has really increased. And then the price of commodities has increased because of storm damage, because of farmers in California being asked not to farm. There's just a lack of commodities, which is driving up demand, which drives up cost. So for us, we just have to make some decisions on what we're raising. And the goats, here they come, have definitely been a good addition to the farm this year. And so we're like, okay, we added something in, it's going to stay. What is going to leave? And while these little sweeties, and they are so sweet, as you can tell, they're like here just hanging out. That one's taking a nap. They're really sweet and easy. I suggest if anybody has kids that are looking at getting into poultry and you don't want to deal with chickens, to get quail. They're very, very quiet. They are easy birds to get around. You don't deal with meanie roosters, or if you do, it's like kind of being pestered by a little fly. The more bossy roosters, but you really can pick them up and be like, okay, I'm done with you. That's enough of that. And they quit. So I highly suggest for kids, for 4-H projects, this is a great one, or just any kid that wants to get into farming, or anybody that lives in an urban setting. Quail are just easy. These guys are actually living in a chicken run. They don't go up, they roost down. So you have to sweep it out, collect the eggs, food and water, which they're out of water in this pill. So I'm actually going to give them some more water right now. And then we have Vader living in here, and he's taking a nap right there. Vader is a gold tip steel New Zealand that's in here, or a silver. He's silver tipped. I got to go back and look at his paperwork. But anyway, he's a doll, but he's done with these guys. A lot of times I come in here and I find him sitting on the feeder. Sometimes he's even over here, but this mud, I actually lost a quail last night because it got stuck in this mud over here. It's just, we usually don't have to deal with rain. And I think it was just running off the end of this coop and into the spot because it's super muddy right here. So poor Vader lost his spot to get away from the quail, and they actually go snuggle with him. You can see him walking up to him right now. So anyway, keeping the bunnies for sure. We'll give Vader his spot back. And we'll be processing rabbits and roosters next week. It's just part of farm life, especially when you're raising them to sell. You're not going to sell all the babies, and especially males. You just have a harder time moving them. And I really suggest that as people are deciding to go into animals, that they think about that when they're breeding, that you're not going to sell them all. And you have to be able to have the space to keep them, which that can get out of hand really quickly, or be okay with processing. And, you know, we like to go full circle with everything that we have here. So that's our plan. Starson's oldest kiddo is going to come up with some bunnies that she has to process as well. That's definitely the hardest thing that we have to process on our farm is the rabbits. Because we have, you know, you do get attached to them. So I'm working on making sure that, you know, I'm really spending time with the ones that are going to stay here, and then just making sure that the ones who are not just have the best lives while they're here, but really trying to make sure I don't have the attachment. So lots of care, of course, but that's just part of raising livestock, is finding that balance. And if you eat meat, it's so important to understand the full life cycle. And I encourage you to at least once have that experience of being able to bless your food from start to finish. And that means taking care of them in the beginning process and also the end, and carrying that gratitude though through the whole process. All right, let's go finish up our tour with some plants. These are baby white peafowl. Aren't they beautiful? So this is a boy here, and then the girl is behind him. The only reason I can tell right now is size, and then the top of their plumes. Which, can you guys hear the mice? Get them, Oreo. Where are they? Good girl. You get those mice. I still have a lot of plants here. I am inside our studio. And there's stacked empty pots and then plants. And there's some seeds in here. So I would not be surprised if they're eating the seeds. Where are they, Oreo? Where are they? Well, anyway, these are our peafowl. I actually won these cute little babies in a, they're not cute. Like, those are ugly teenage stage velociraptor fowl. Okay, Oreo just caught a mouse and took off with that. Sorry to interrupt. So these peafowl, they were raffled off by a friend of mine. It's actually the same gal that I got our other peafowl from. And we've gotten some silkies and different stuff from her in the past. But she did a raffle on our Facebook group, and it was only $20 a spot for these two. So I did 2 different spots, guys. I picked my lucky numbers, which are 7 and 13, or 13 and 21. And at the exact same time, someone else posted the same ones, and they ended up posting right before mine. So she asked me if I wanted to pick different numbers. So I said, sure. So I picked some totally obscure random numbers, and guess what? It won. I started crying because I never thought that I would be able to own white peafowl. I'll show you a photo. They are beautiful. These guys are not getting a lot of attention from us. I come in here and talk, do my business, talk on the phone, so they're used to my voice. But peafowl are known to be kind of meanie heads if they are hand raised. And we have so many people coming on and off the farm that I don't want them to ever become a nuisance and then have to be rehomed because of that. So they're used to our voices. They know we feed them. They know we water them. But we don't pick them up and hold them and carry them around our place. But what a gift. I'm so excited to raise these little babies. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how they get along with the other ones. I know Los Pobanos, a big farm and in town, used to have a white peafowl, or white peacock, and he was beat up by the other guys. So he's kind of a loner. So I'm thinking that might be the same thing. It's just because they look different. But at least there's 2 of them. So they have little buddies. Yay! All right, before I swing around and show you the pumpkin patch, I wanted to show you what the front of the house looks like. These are brand new pots that we picked up before Mother's Day. These were presents from my mom and her husband for my 40th birthday. And look how beautiful they are. They are so pretty. I think they fit our Southwest kind of decor really well. And inside of them, we have cherry proven winner petunias, margarita vine, and then this agapanthus just started blooming. And I will have to take that in because it will not survive our winters, but I will just dig it up and put it in a pot and move it into the greenhouse. And I might keep the greenhouse heated all winter. We're going to see. And then check out this beautiful salvia, which I just thought was great against the orange of the petunias behind it. I am like not very happy with the petunias. These coral bells, they are just getting sun bleached really bad. And it's happening in a lot of my planters, which, you know, as the fall comes around, they won't struggle so bad. But you can tell in these pots here, they're not as bad because they get a little bit more shade. And look at how gorgeous that color is. Isn't that beautiful? But it's supposed to be more orangey like this. And a lot of them are washed out, this color here. So I'm not too happy with that color combination this year, but I think it'll still be pretty by the fall time. I'm going to go ahead and take these dahlias out and put them in the landscape. They're just not filling out these pots, and I think I'm probably going to put caladium in here because it also shades for part of the day. These pots here still, they looked pretty good. Not my favorite combination. I left the kale, which I think is beautiful. Look at that gorgeous purple kale. Again, so, and these petunias aren't getting washed out. I think, again, they get into the sun. But I put a Prince Tut Proven Winners ornamental. I think it's considered a grass. And the goats and the hailstorms have just wreaked havoc on it. So it just looks like a bunch of stems hanging out. Which, why would the goats go after that and leave the kale? Look at that gorgeous kale. I don't really know. But that is what the porch looks like for now. I just want to show you all because I know I talk about the tree of heaven and the difficulties that we had when we first moved in with just having thousands of seedlings. I could probably, no joke, count 50 little shoots coming up on the porch just right here. Every couple of weeks I have to come in and pull these out because it just is such an invasive species. All right, let's go check out the brand new pumpkin patch. Gunner's out here guarding. I don't know what he's guarding. All the animals are in the back, but Selby's back there. The other two dogs are here. These are our fruit trees, which this one now looks like it may have some type of virus on it, which just happened. You can see here the lines in the spots on the leaves, so I'm gonna have to do some research there. I don't have very luck with fruit trees. Very good luck. So this is the pumpkin patch. It is 8 rows that are 30 inches wide with 20-inch pathways, and it's 65 feet long. So there's not just pumpkins growing in here. I'll start with the first row, and you guys, the dogs came in here and were digging. If you have dogs that dig, put some dog excrement inside the places where they're digging and it stops them. That's what I did yesterday. I wanted them to know that it was in there, and then I'm going to cover it back up. But this first row here is actually corn and then sunflowers, so that when you come, the entrance to our property is right behind this tree. You're going to see the colors of the sunflowers. And then this next row here with the trellising system, this is cucumbers to that halfway mark. They're already up. They were transplanted in. They are not liking this rain at all. I think they would have liked to have some hot weather to get going. But for now, they're just going to be, let me see if I can show you guys what we do. And this is how I use the rabbit poop for multiple things. So here's the cucumber. These are cotyledon leaves, which means first leaves. So they're going to dry. They're going to yellow, dry, and fall off anyway. But these are their first true leaves, and they're still just not really happy looking anyway. But we use the rabbit poop for not only adding nutrients, but also providing kind of like a living mulch, really, because as it breaks down, it provides nutrients for the plants as well as creating a shade and dissuading weeds from growing, which in here, guys, the amount of weeds that we have is rough. There's a lot. It's kind of hard to keep up with it. The back half here is green beans, which are not up yet. And we can actually go down here. I did notice yesterday that there were some sunflowers that were coming up. And I'm wondering if we're going to have a problem with bugs eating them. So let's see if we can find some little babies that are coming up. Oh, they're coming up and they're okay. There's a lot actually. So these are sunflowers here and here, but there's also kochia weed, which is what I was telling you was the New Mexico tumbleweed. And it is in here like crazy. So as soon as these sunflowers are big enough, I will come in and also mulch this. I don't see any green beans coming in. Oh, just kidding. They're coming. So that's the first time I'm seeing them today. I see a couple, and you know what? It looks like a lot of my beans are exposed. Look at that. I don't know what happened, but it might have been that they were just planted way too shallow. And so I'm gonna just kind of find some places that's not gonna stay. That one's, yeah, look at, I almost broke that one, which tends to happen, so I really don't want to mess with it too much. We planted enough beans that they're gonna be fine. So that one just broke, so I'll leave it alone. But interesting, I have my volunteers helping me plant, and I think we're gonna have to do some replanting because I see this in a couple spots, which means that they just didn't get it deep enough. And that happens, and I'm still forever grateful for them for the help that they provided. But here's another little section where the beans are just exposed. So we'll take some time and put those back into the ground. In fact, I'll do that as soon as this video ends. But we have probably 10, 15 different types of pumpkins and squashes that are in here. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they grow out. We didn't do a lot of soil amendments in here. I think I mentioned before that we tilled this only in the rows where we're growing, and added amendments just in the spots where we planted the seeds. So we came in with plant tone and either rabbit poop if I had it, or some in-ground organic potting soil, so that we weren't wasting amendments in areas where roots weren't going to be in the ground. And since pumpkins need a lot of space, it just made sense to do that. And you can see we have a lot of weeds to come back in here and control, but it's just going to be a really fun space. There's melons in here too. We're going to see how they do. I was not thinking and planted melons and squash on the same row, and melons actually need to have the water turned off to make them sweet at the end. So I'm going to be hand watering my squash that are in that row, but it's a learning experience. But look at how pretty the view is from here in the pumpkin patch. We've been enjoying this rain. I can hear the crickets in the background. Some birds singing. These are big mountains over here, which you can hardly even see because the clouds are just rolled down on top of them. Mountain living at its finest. All right, y'all, that concludes the video for the June farm tour. I'm so glad you stuck with me. I know that was a lot. We have a lot going on the farm, and I can't wait till next month because we'll actually be harvesting. So definitely stay tuned to our Instagram to be able to see what we have coming off the farm. We should be able to make some bouquets here pretty quick. And as far as harvesting veggies, I don't know what's gonna come first. It's not gonna be tomatoes, it's not gonna be peppers. You know, we should be making some more basil lemonade. That should be coming out soon. And potatoes. So maybe I'll do a video on some harvesting of potatoes. Our garlic is already done. We just got that out last week. The boys actually planted the garlic, took care of the garlic, and so I let them harvest the garlic. It was a pretty cool, just fun family thing for us to do. It was a start to finish project for them that started in October. Came all the way to the end of June. We will be making a bunch of roasted garlic with that. I'll have Chef Hubby do a video to show you guys his roasted garlic and his confit garlic, which is actually better. So stay tuned for some fun things coming up. I appreciate you. Thank you for your prayers, and we will see you next month.